Okay, and that's really fascinating to hear. I mean, and clearly collaboration and coordination is a a huge part of the project. I wanted to ask you then, in terms of the other stakeholders, because, like you said, this is a huge underdeveloped part of Saudi Arabia. How are you working with other government authorities to ensure, like you said, there's the environmental aspect of it first and foremost. So you've got to be mindful for that and work with the required government agencies. Then on top of that, you've got to put the infrastructure in as well, and the road networks and all of that. So how are you working with the other government agencies and departments to ensure that all of this is brought to fruition in a smooth and efficient manner as possible, making the job easier for your contractors and you?
Yeah, look, the longer term, not just ambition, but the long term intent, which is well advanced, is for the Red Sea project will be within a special economic zone. So that's always been the premise of the project from the get-go. That's a complicated legal framework to put into place. It is well advanced. It is councils in Saudi Arabia at the moment for consideration. So I can't speculate on what date that will be put into place. But that will be there, and that in the end will enable us to set a standard, certainly on the environmental side, that is well above what the state currently sets as its requirements. So it gives us a chance to go above and beyond what the state is currently setting. There's a lot of changes have happened in Saudi Arabia over the last couple of years, and there's a lot in play at the moment where there's big changes on that regulatory authority side. There's a lot of amalgamation. There's a lot more connected and joined up ministerial departments. And clearly, we have to go through that process. We're trying to find smart ways of doing it so we don't overburden government with these giga and mega projects. By forming a memorandum of understanding with some of the biggest entities such as MIWA and MOMRA. Else, if we just keep dumping information, tens and tens of thousands of information on people ill-prepared to receive it, the system will collapse. So that's well advanced to get that higher level framework together, and where we can also reinforce their capabilities with third-party independent consultants to help with some of the legwork of getting through fire and life safety approvals and environmental approvals. But certainly we're already well advanced in that permitting process. So the starting point is to display, to present, and to excel behind our master plan, which goes right back to 2018, November 18, when it was signed off. But clearly that master plan has morphed and refined and improved, and it constantly gets informed by bottom-up information from a plot level design. It started as a macro top-down master plan. More and more gets informed by what we observe on the ground, what environmentalists find on their surveys, and we're constantly iterating and responding to latest. Could be environmental sightings on turtles or birds. It could be more found than was on the mapping that we originally designed around. Studies your master plan, and that's what we responded to. All of that is presented to the authorities, and then an explanation behind each of the individual projects. Why do we need a marine jetty, and what's the purpose of it? How is it designed? How has that been modelled? We have two layers of checks and balances, I think, we put into the marine environment. One is through a consultant, and we engage Jacobs to look after both our modelling and our marine civil engineering requirements for getting onto islands and getting off the shoreline. And then separate to their modelling, we then go through KAUST, which is the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, and various sub-consultants that they engage to separately model it independently to make sure we get to the same answer. If you're going to put an obstruction, a building asset into the water, you have to check, right at micro level, right down to sort of nanotechnology, how you're disturbing currents and move to ensure you don't get sediment buildup onto coral. You're not changing the flow rates. You're not going to you're giving the opportunity for enhancement. You're not going to create damage. So there's a lot of modelling has to take place. It's slow. It's laborious. There's an environmental and social impact assessment that takes place, which is hundreds and hundreds of pages. That's done at a macro level for the entire phase one of the project, and then it's done for every individual project. And then the contractors and the consultants have to respond to it. They have to respond with their CESMP, their environmental social management plan that says how they will build in accordance with the ESIA that they've been given. So a large amount of checks and balances that take place at all stages through authority with an independent environmental department we have in-house, with an independent chief environmental officer who's on the project, and then with our delivery teams and our health and safety and environmentalists who are on site doing the checks and balances with hundreds and hundreds of construction supervision people. So it's a very complicated framework to ensure. But it's a lot of work, but it's totally necessary. There's no shortcut around it. And it never goes in a first pass. It goes around a lot of iterations until we all collectively feel that is the best balance of development with environment.
Okay, so let's move away now from talking about the project itself and talk about the impact it's going to have on Saudi Arabia as a whole. And first of all, I mean, you touched upon it when you were talking about, the consortia working on the project and how it's sort of fostering in new demands and more putting more demands onto contractors and all of that. And I wanted to know, how do you think not just the Red Sea project, but all the other mega projects that are in development in Saudi Arabia currently, how do you think these projects are going to shape the kingdom's construction landscape? And are we going to see a complete change in the way the industry or the sector operates because of these projects?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable, and maybe we'll have all failed on the giga and mega projects if we don't inspire that change. There will be a massive uplift in the capacity of the construction market. I suspect it'll be tenfold increase, but they have to learn from global best practice, bringing partners in the early days to really leverage that opportunity. They also need to start, joining forces much more. We've seen it with Nesma and Mabani on our airport, but you suspect in the Saudi market there may be a lot more consolidation till we get back to some heavyweight players who can tackle a whole range of tech types and the scale of a massive growth in overall capacity. A lot more Saudi nationals brought into the construction industry. And earlier, the bar for health and safety we have to raise significantly. The bar is way too low historically, and it's just not something we can accept. We've seen the UAE successfully go through that cycle over a 10 or 15 year period, from probably inappropriate standards to some of the world's best standards. Certainly, we're at the forefront with NEOM and Qiddiya and others. It's setting those standards, and we have a lot of internal sharing and collaboration of best practice in that regard. And then environmentally, we want to be known and export this knowledge not just across Saudi Arabia, but across the world. And how do you sensitively develop in areas of natural beauty? Obviously beautiful sites, vast territory, vast diversity, the same, different in terms of mix and what it's got to the Red Sea, but still a stunning area. Qiddiya is on an area of true natural beauty. So all these projects, we share a similar concern of how do we enhance and not damage. And that concern is very much high on the agenda at all of our board meetings. It's high on the agenda for His Royal Highness and for the ministers. And a lot of ministers, our board, represent the entities we were speaking about earlier, the government entities who are very much setting the framework, the standards in the country. So, there's a total change of philosophy that has emerged in Saudi Arabia over recent years, which maybe is not understood by people who have worked there historically and now seeking these new opportunities. They have to relearn. You can't go in and almost getting away with what you used to get away with. It's only the best international standard is tolerated, and hopefully we're taking even that further. We're trying to raise the bar and establish a new bar, a new standard. Something that's not been done before. It's not it's absolutely necessary given the nature of what we're developing. So I think people are going to have to change the game. But the opportunity for the Saudi construction market is absolutely immense. You have a sense there's those who recognized it and they're already putting in massive investment towards it. They're not necessarily yet at what they're doing, but they're very willing. They're bringing resources. They're listening. They're wanting to learn, and they're raising the bar. And those who are failing because they're just bringing what they've always done. They're not realizing yet there's a new game in town. So it's a great opportunity. I think we're going to see a new Saudi Arabian construction market by 2030.